I'm a sucker for watches that are tied into media that I enjoy, like movies or TV shows, but also a sucker for watches that are from high quality micro brands. So when it comes to micro brands, like there are ones out there like Islander that really make a great watch. And then when it comes to things from media, it's like, I'm a big Bond fan, so I've got the Bond Omega. It was a shoe-in that I would go for the Momentum watches. So Momentum is I don't want to say an offshoot, but it was founded by the same people who ran Chronosport, which was a company that made quartz-powered watches way back in the 70s and 80s. And they were watches that were featured in quite a bit of media that I enjoyed. We have the C-Quartz 30 from Momentum, which is a retro reissue of the C-Quartz 30 that Chronosport made. This was famously worn by Tom Selleck and Magnum PI back in the early 80s. And then we had the new version of the Momentum UDT, which is a callback to the watch that was worn by Sylvester Stallone in Rambo 3. Albeit that Rambo 3 is probably the worst Rambo film, but hey, it's a cool watch. So you've seen the title of the video and you're looking, well, Paul, you own two of these watches. What do you mean that Momentum's disappointing? Well, I hate to say it, goes back to the Seiko issue. The quality control just really isn't very good. And it's a bummer because I really, really wanted to like these Momentum watches. I bought this C-Quartz 30 back in February and I've had it since. And the UDT, I pre-ordered it back in July, received it in September, and I haven't worn it a ton because I've just been unhappy with some of the quality control issues. So what am I referring to? Well, there are some kind of annoying things that don't really impact how the watch works, but it's just frustrating for me as an enthusiast. If we watch the second hand, it's missing every single one of the indices there. And that's a minor thing, but for a watch that costs about $300, you'd expect them to kind of fit the dial to the quartz movement relatively well. The fact that it's missing every single indice is a thing that I can't unsee when I look at the watch. We also have issues like the bezel here is super loose. Like it rotates and it sounds good. But the issue we have is that if I hold it kind of steady, we have a lot of back and forth play where I'm not actually, rotating the ball bearing here. So it's just kind of rough for the quality control there. And that's just a bummer for me because I really like the look of this watch. I like how thin it is. I like that it's battery powered. Now they're doing solar versions, which are cool, but the quality control for that watch was really, really rough. The bracelet that it came with was fine. I won't speak ill about the build quality of the bracelet, but the quality control of the second hand and the bezel are a little rough. And that's an annoying thing. With the UDT, I will say that the overall build quality is certainly better than the C-Quartz 30. The bezel action, there's a little bit of play, but not nearly as much. It's very smooth, it's very well done. We don't have a second hand, so we don't have to worry about alignment issues with the second hand. But the biggest issue with this watch, and I'm going to kill the lights here, the lume for it is absolutely atrocious. So we killed those here. And you can see, I've had these under my overhead lights here for a little bit, glowing pretty good. If we look, we have a lot less lume applied on the indices, and then the hands are smaller. The big thing is that the C-Quartz 30, which uses the same grade of, I believe it's Super Luminova, it uses the same grade of it, but they applied a lot more here. The C-Quartz 30 will last a lot longer than the UDT will. The UDT is effectively a watch that has 30-minute lume. I have not been wearing the UDT to bed. You might be saying, well, Paul, it's an anti-digi watch, so there's a backlight, right? There ain't no backlight. So this is a watch I'm not wearing at night. And for me, even with all my gripes with the Seiko Arnie, this is a watch I've been wearing more. This has fantastic build quality, all things considered, but then the lume sucks. There's no backlight. I'm wearing a watch that I think is overpriced and it is generally a worse made watch, but it has lume and a backlight. Now, that's my thing. You might look at this and go, okay, Paul, you're just whining, It doesn't matter that this misses all the indices and that the bezel's kind of loose because it's still telling the time accurately and it still looks good and it's still relatively made well. And I would generally agree. But the issue is that if we don't raise a fuss about the quality control issues of companies, they might not ever learn from that, right? As someone who writes for a website where I've done reviews for years and years and years, not every review can be a super positive one. If we have issues with things, we have to look at them and identify the issues and go, hey, we need to improve this. And I get it that the second hand missing the indices, some people will go, oh, it's a minor issue. But this is a watch that costs $300. Yeah, you'll have people who are like, oh, $300 is chump change for a watch. I want you to think about it like a regular person. $300 is a substantial amount of money for anything, right? If you look at like my grocery bill for myself and my girlfriend, $300 is like most of what we're eating through for an entire month, right? That's a lot of money for other things. The fact that you can get watches that are a whole lot cheaper than this that don't have that problem is not impressive for those watches. It's a disappointment for this one. My Timex Scout that I reviewed back in 2023, $40, and the movement was better fitted to the dial than it is in this Momentum. So this video has been a little rambly. I'll get off my soapbox now. But the long and the short is that Momentum makes some really cool designs, but they need to focus more on the quality control for those designs, because it's really just a shame that that the two that I have, and again, two specific examples here. I'm not saying that all of the Quartz 30s are going to have these issues, but my two specific examples here have been massive disappointments. And I'm not planning on holding on to these watches for a whole lot longer. So I'm going to tag a fellow YouTuber here. You'll see a card up here, Mr. Working Man's Watches. I enjoy his content. He has also done a review of the UDT and the Arnie, but we've come to the same conclusion when it comes to the Anti-Digi, that you need lume and a good backlight, which the Momentum just doesn't have. So it's a shame, because it's a cool watch, right? We're attracted to these things because they're practical, but also because they're cool. And when to me, things that don't work as they should aren't cool. And the lume sucks, and the movement's not fitted very well, and the bezel sucks, so these aren't cool to me anymore. So yeah, rambly video over. Thank you for watching, and check out some more watch content down below.